Dear guests, please take your seats. We're starting. So, dear guests, dear participants, welcome to the second day of the conference, Islamophobia in Focus, Unveiling Bias and Shattering Stigmas. Thank you so much for being today here with us. Thank you so much for all your contribution made on the first day of the conference. So why is this conference a big deal? Well, today we have 24 speakers, more than 18 countries and up to 200 participants. Today's discussions will focus on institutionalization of anti-Muslim legislation in Europe, safeguarding Islamic cultural heritage, and use voices for inclusion. Besides, we are going to have a presentation of the report on global Islamophobia and EU-Lima meeting SAMD Islamophobia in Europe, EU-Lima special focus. So, there are 4 sessions left for today. Now, dear ladies and gentlemen, let me announce the launch of the plenary D. Institutionalization of anti-Muslim legislation in Europe, anti-Muslim rhetoric amid radicalization, propagated Islamophobic sentiments. Please welcome to the stage the moderator of this session, Mr. Alistair Davison, advisor, Cordoba Peace Institute. Mr. Davison, you are welcome to invite to the stage your panelists.
Thank you. So I'd like to start with giving many thanks to the organizers and sponsors for this excellent conference and for your welcome and hospitality, what was a very rich day yesterday. In this session, we'll be addressing the increasingly alarming situation in Europe under the topic, the institutionalization of anti-Muslim legislation in Europe, anti-Muslim rhetoric amid radicalization propagated Islamophobic sentiments. And I'd like to invite the first speaker to the stage, Mr. Said Allah, who is president of the Great Mosque of Strasbourg, France, and president of Alsace Regional Council of the Muslim Faith, the CRCM, who will speak on the situation of Islamophobia in France and the consequences on the lives of Muslim citizens. Mr. Allah, would like to come up? Thank you. The second speaker will be Abdulmajid Najjar, Vice President of the International Union of Muslim Scholars, based in Qatar, a visiting professor at various universities, including Paris, Jordan, Algeria, Libya, and Malaysia, who will speak on the hatred of Muslims through Western laws, with France as a model. He'll be followed by Imam Yahya Pallavicini, Vice President of CORES, the Islamic Religious Community of Italy, and Chairman for Italy of ULEMA, the European Muslim Scholars Council, who will speak on European Muslims, no double standards. The following speaker will be Mr. Abdsamad Al-Yazidi, Chairman of the Central Council of Muslims in Germany, the ZMD, who also leads Muwatana, the German Institute for Dialogue and Understanding. It focuses on youth integration in Germany. He'll be followed by Mr. Agil Shirinov, Rector of the Azerbaijan Institute of Theology and author of many books and articles on Islamic theology and philosophy and different Islamic denominations. He will speak on the influence of the negative image of Islam and Muslims formed in medieval Europe on the development of Islamophobia. Our final speaker will be Mr. Hussein Ishiksal, Special Advisor to the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, President on International Relations and Diplomacy, who's also Professor of International Relations and columnist in the Daily Sabah newspaper. Thank you. Each speaker will have 8 to 10 minutes to speak so that we have time for questions and discussions. So thank you again. I just welcome them again to the panel. So we'll start with Mr. Ala.
Je vais m'exprimer en français, donc سأتحدث إن شاء الله باللغة الفرنسية. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. Tout d'abord, permettez-moi de remercier les organisateurs de ce magnifique colloque qui pour la 3e année consécutive sur la situation de l'islamophobie.
I would like to thank the organizers for their hospitality and for active participation of the participants. I wish every success to the event. I will talk about the Islamophobia, situation of Islamophobia in France. My topic is about the senses and the reality in the country. Islamophobia is not a phenomenon unique to France. On the contrary, it affects nearly all Western countries. However, in recent years, this phenomenon has taken on deeply troubling dimensions in France, both in terms of its scope and persistence. Until recently, open hostility toward Islam and Muslims was largely confined to far-right political parties. Today, however, it has undergone a major transformation and is spreading to spheres that were previously untouched by such hateful discourse. Islamophobia now finds expression in the statements of politicians, men and women who identify as Democrats and Republicans. Major media outlets dedicate extensive airtime and space to those who propaganda anti-Muslim rhetoric under the guise of freedom of expression. We are now seeing more and more supporters of this rhetoric among researchers, academics, business people, journalists, and of course ordinary citizens. The growth of this phenomenon has been especially noticeable since the attacks that struck France and other European countries following the tragic events of September 11 in the US. Initially, calls for national unity and the strong condemnation of the attacks by Muslims themselves, which also took Muslim victims, helped prevent French Muslims as a whole from being blamed. However, some still considered these reactions too weak or insufficient. Starting in 2017 with the presidential elections, in the spectacular rise of the Le Pen family's far-right party and the creation of a second far-right party openly hostile to Muslim presence in France and Europe, the rhetoric escalated. The introduction of the term separatism for the first time added to an already saturated vocabulary surrounding the Muslim presence in France. Salafism, Wahhabism, radicalism, fundamentalism, extremism, terrorism as such. This created confusion among French citizens within public opinion. We are now witnessing a new phase targeting Extremism, brotherhood ideology, Islamism and entrism, a further layer of confusion. for it's no longer actions or behavior being judged, but rather intentions. It's not proven facts being condemned, but presumed risks, and potential future threats. This has created among Muslims the feeling of being permanently under suspicion, no matter what they do. They are accused of isolation and communalism when they focus on their own community, and accused of entrism when they try to engage in public and political life. This sense of injustice has been deepening, particularly due to a series of laws and restrictive measures adopted in recent years, viewed by many Muslims as stigmatizing. Some notable examples include the law banning headscarves and religious symbols in schools, already enforced; the anti-burqa law in public spaces, enforced with fines; a ministerial circular banning the abaya in middle and high schools, already in effect; the ban on veiled mothers accompanying school outings; the anti-separatism law, already enforced; the increased surveillance and control of mosques and private Muslim educational institutions; the closure of some mosques due to safety codes and sermons deemed contrary to Republican laws; the expulsion of several imams identified as Salafists; the dissolution of several associations; strict scrutiny of Muslims applying for jobs in so-called sensitive or strategic sectors. Although these laws are presented as general and non-discriminatory, in practice they are perceived by French Muslims as targeting them, especially since they were adopted in a charged atmosphere that made the intended target quite clear. In France, terrorist attacks that followed 9/11 have progressively legitimized racist and Islamophobic speech as well as anti-Muslim actions. To cite only a few notable examples: the murder of Abu Bakr sits inside a mosque; a public poster campaign in one city calling for Muslims to get out of France; the arson of a mosque; the increasing number of mosque desecrations, hateful letters, threats, and insults directed at Muslims. According to official figures, the Ministry of the Interior recorded 127 anti-Muslim incidents in 2024. But this number does not reflect the reality, as it only includes reported cases. Many Muslims still do not report such incidents to the authorities for various reasons. After painting this worrying picture, one that deeply concerns most Muslims in France today, I would like to emphasize that this does not mean France is a racist or Islamophobic country. Rather, the current atmosphere is the result of an active and influential minority, not a reflection of the general population, which remains relatively open and accepting of Muslims. Interfaith dialogue and openness of Muslims to their surroundings can help shift mindsets and attitudes. To conclude, I'll share an anecdote from 1980s when Michel Serres presented his concept of the natural contract. The situation prompts me to ask, what did Muslims do wrong or fail to do that led our once welcoming societies to adopt such hateful discourse and hostile position toward them? So we need to ask this question, why the society was open but have become very intolerant. So we need to ask these questions to ourselves, why the French society has changed. Because French Muslims should change this, help change this attitude towards them. Thank you very much for your attention.
By Mr. Abdel Majid Najjar, who will speak from the microphone. Thank you.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. شكرا سيد الرئيس. تحية لجميع الحاضرين والحاضرات، والشكر موصول لمن كان له دور.
Sizi salamlayıram. I would like to thank all the participants, especially the government of Azerbaijan. I would like to thank all the organizing institutions to fight against this tragedy, which is widespread. We're talking about Islamophobia. All the efforts have not been able to end this phenomenon, but organization of such conferences will give great impetus to solve this problem. And we can see that the results of the Islamophobia is increasing every day. A few days ago, a young man was killed in one of the mosques in the south of France. An Islamophobic person hit the guy with knife 50 times, as a result of which this young man passed away. So we need to dive into the reasons of this Islamophobia. The ideas and approaches are changed due to brainwashing, as a result of brainwashing, and we can see from the history examples of such facts, especially during the early beginning of Islam. We can see this in the during the raids of cross-bearers to the Muslim countries. So these negative cases usually are committed by Islamophobic people. So such people some Muslims misrepresent our religion, which causes the shift in people's view on Muslims and Islam. So despite all of this, we see the increase in the number of converts to Islam, especially in Europe. So we see that this tendency can can result in Islam to be one of the dominant religions in Europe, or the most dominant religion in Europe. Some circles, especially the media, use their influence to change people's minds about Islam to prevent this inclining, and they misuse their instruments to picture a negative image, to create a negative image of Islam and Muslims. And we can see very very unpleasant results, as we saw a mosque attack in New Zealand. Despite all of this, we see in the legislation, in the laws, that there is Islamophobic shade in the laws. For example, in France, as Mr. Professor mentioned, we can see hatred models in the legislation and laws, and which are discriminatory laws. We're not talking about the intention of the laws. It's not about being having a negative or positive intention, but these result in direct negative results, especially the outfits, the bans on outfits, Muslim outfits, are among such examples. These laws are adopted with the excuse of security, rule of law, etc. And the society is willing to accept such discriminatory laws, which result in the increase in hatred against Muslims. I would like to give an example which on a law which was adopted in 2004. So the legislation said the ban on religious symbols, but in fact it was the ban against burqa. Also, openly so these laws in fact are targeting Islam and Muslims, but the laws are disguised as laws adopted against all religious circles. So the homeschooling was banned in France. It can be the choice of some families. It can be the family choice or a cultural choice, as some families are against being secular. Another ban is on the deportation of Muslim clerics. which are only based on some suspicion and which is applied against imams. For example, an imam who lived in France for 40 years, he was deported after living in France for 40 years. So these are discriminatory laws and regulations adopted in Europe, especially in France. We can prolong the list of such examples. We need to unite our efforts and fight against these such events in the society. Islamophobia is a result of degrading the values, and these are targeted on the basic human rights. Also, we can say the same about what is happening in Gaza. Islamophobia is increasing, and some youth think that the human rights is a huge hoax. It's a huge lie which demonstrates itself. Now, Muslims and non-Muslims should unite in the fight against Islamophobia. The first objective is to protect global values, freedom of speech, and basic rights of human. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Let me first of all express my gratitude to be again in this wonderful
Yeniden
and inspiring country of Azerbaijan. Since the Baku process, I've been honored. This country. I want to actually make reference to this topic of today on Islamophobia, saying also why Azerbaijan can be inspiring and why it is blessed as all the world and all the land should be and blessed according to the responsibilities of all citizens and all believers without double standards. That's my point. And to come to this point is that coming from Europe, and I'm very privileged to deliver also the greetings and the gratitude of the members of EULIMA, the European Muslim Leaders Council. We have been trying to coordinate, and some of them are in the panel and some will be speaking later. We've been, according to my personal experience, the issue would be a narrative that proposes Europe, the West, as a combination of Judeo-Christian identity or roots. And this combination is in somehow used by some ideological or philosophical or political personalities in Europe as the good roots, the good identity, the good combination, and it is opposing this point towards Muslims or any kind of diversity or variety or pluralism of interpretations, thoughts, cultures, and beliefs. So we have this polarization, and the Judeo-Christian roots of the West are used or abused to oppose and to somehow inspire Islamophobic tendencies and interpretations. Now, this concept is completely mistaken, not only because, of course, it would like to victimize Muslims or discriminate other believers or exclude the variety of pluralism of thoughts and interpretations, but because it forgets that the origin of Abrahamic monotheism, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, the three families of this monotheism, are all coming from the East. And they came to the West